Right, okay, so we're going to start with factorising a cubic polynomial. I bet you thought factorising was all finished with and you didn't have any more to do, but no, it keeps going and we elevate it to the next level higher with doing cubic polynomials. Okay, so the first way we're going to do it is by long division. Doing it by long division, this way is essential for going on to study at advanced higher math level. And I'm going to show you this way because there's some times when we need to factorise using long division. However, there is another method that will come later, which is the method that I prefer and I tend to work with. So that'll be the one that I'll be using from then onwards. But I'm going to show you factorising by long division first. Okay, so we're going to start with a polynomial, and we're going to have the polynomial f of x is equal to x cubed minus 5x squared plus 2x plus 8. Right, so when we're factorising a polynomial, the first thing that we need to do is we need to find a factor. Okay, sometimes we'll be given the factors, other times we will have to find them. Okay, so we know that when we have a factor that our function equals 0, because that was in our last, well, not the last video, the first video on this topic. Okay, so when you're picking numbers to put in to try and get 0, pick numbers that are a factor of your last number. Okay, because the numbers you're going to get are not going to be numbers that don't multiply to get to your end number. So, multiples of 8, we could try 1, we could try 2, we could try 4, and we could try 8. Right? So, first of all, we'll try, let's see, we'll try with 2 to start with. Okay, so if we do f of 2, and we put this in, we're going to get 2 cubed minus 5 times 2 squared plus 2 times 2 plus 8. Okay, so that means we get 8, take away 5 times 4, which is 20, plus 4 plus 8. So the 8, and the 4 make 20, and we're taking away 20, so we have 0. Okay, so that means we've got x minus 2 is a factor. Okay, so now this is where the long division comes in. Because when we have a factor, we can divide by that factor, and when we do so, we get left with what we call the quotient. Okay, right, so we'll get there, right? So what we're actually doing is we're taking our original polynomial, so we've got x cubed minus 5x squared plus 2x plus 8, and we're dividing it by x take away 2. Right, so what we're looking for when we're doing this is we always, once we find the factor, we're going to start with the highest term, okay, and multiply the divisor to get that higher term so that you get a 0. In this term, it's going to be by x squared. Sometimes it'll be by x cubed, okay? Right, so if we take our divisor, okay, or a factor, and we multiply that by x squared, we would get, I'm going to use red so that it stands out, we're going to get x cubed take away 2x squared. Yeah? So we've multiplied our factor by x squared to get rid of that. So that is what we've now multiplied by. So we've multiplied by x squared there, so that has to go up. And then we've got to take these away from each other to get our remainder. So x cubed take away x cubed is 0. And then 5x squared take away negative 2x squared ends up with negative 5x squared plus 2x squared. So we're going to get negative 3x squared. Okay, and then we have to bring down, same as last time, with the normal long division, the next bit. So this time we've got minus 3x squared plus 2x. Okay, so then we have to, third step, look now at the x squared term and divide, or like pick a number or pick what we need to multiply the factor by to eliminate it. Okay, so here we have negative 3x squared and we've got x. So to go from x to negative 3x squared, we need to multiply by negative 3x. Okay, and that gives us, when we do that, negative 3x times x gives us that negative 3x squared. And then negative 2 times negative 3x is going to give us plus 6x. Okay, right, so then to find our remainder for this bit, we take them away from each other. So when we're taking away negative, we add, which gives us a 0 here. And then we've got 2x, take away 6x, so we've got minus 4x. And we carry down the plus 8. Okay, so we then look at the x term and repeat. Okay, so what we've got is we have to have minus 4x, and we've got x, so we have to multiply it by minus 4. Okay, when we multiply through that by minus 4, we get minus 4x plus 8. So our remainder is 0, and that is exactly what we're looking for this. That means there's nothing left over. Okay, so this part here that I'm about to highlight for you, this is what we call our quotient. Okay, so that bit there is the quotient. And the quotient is what goes, like what we have to multiply the factor by to get what we start with. And this helps us when we're factorising here. So, it may seem like we've not really done any factorising in a while, but we have. Okay, so our f of x, we can now write, we know that x minus 2 is a factor. So I'm going to get x minus 2. And then our second bracket, when we start factorising, is that quotient. So we get x squared minus 3x minus 4. So we're taking this polynomial that is got a third degree polynomial, and we are putting it into brackets. That's all factorising is, putting it into brackets. So we've got our first bracket with the x minus 2 when we found that it was a factor. And now we need to factorise the x squared minus 3x minus 4. The way I do this, have a quick look. This is, you've got x and x. So we know that at the front of our brackets, we just have to have x, because x times x. The end of our brackets has got to be things that multiply to give us 4. So it could be 4 and 1, or it could be 2 and 2. Okay, we have a negative, so that means that one of them's got to be negative and one of them has to be positive. So the combination that's going to give us that -3 in the middle is going to be -4 plus 1. So that means that's got to be -4. So we get x minus 4, x plus 1. Okay, I know that's a long example. Okay, I'm going to do one more example, and I know this is going to be a really long video. Okay, but hopefully I can get through the next example a wee bit quicker. And then I'm going to go on to the method that we're generally going to use most of the time. Right, okay, so to factorize by long division, this time we're going to be given the factor. Okay, it's still the same. We just need to check that the remainder is 0. Okay, so we have f of x is equal to x cubed plus 3x squared minus 13x minus 15. Okay, and we have the factor x plus 1. Okay, and we have to factorize fully. Right, okay, so that means that this function f of x is equal to x plus 1 times something. And the long division part is telling us what that something is. So we've got to divide x cubed plus 3x squared minus 13x minus 15, and we're dividing that by x plus 1. So to get the x cubed, I have to times x plus 1 by x squared. So we get x cubed plus x squared, because I've multiplied by x squared. So up there is what you've multiplied by. We find our remainder. X cubed minus x cubed is 0. And 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. Okay, so bring this down, we get minus 13x. Okay, so what do I have to times my factor by to get rid of my x squared term now? So x has to be times by 2x to get 2x squared. So I'm going to have to times by 2x. Okay, so when I times by 2x, I get 2x squared plus 2x. It's nice and easy when your factor is 1. Okay, and then we have to subtract these. So we get 0 for that first bit. Always put in the 0 to make sure that it is 0. Double check every time, don't just assume. Okay, then we've got 13x take away 2x, which is going to be minus 15x. The 15 comes down and joins there. Okay, so then what do I have to multiply x plus 1 by to get the minus 15x? And that's going to be minus 15. Okay, so when I multiply that through by minus 15, I get minus 15x minus 15. So I get a remainder of 0, so that means it is a factor. Okay, and at that point we can then put our quotient into our brackets. This bit here becomes the second part of our bracket. So we get x squared plus 2x minus 15 in here. And then we can factorize that bit too. X plus 1. Like I said, we should be getting a little bit better at factorizing quadratics by inspection and just being able to see what we need to put. But I will do the little bit over here, explanation again. So we've got x and x from our first bit, so we know we have to have x and x in the front of our brackets. The 15, our options are 15 and 1 or 5 and 3. 5 and 3 are the only option that in any way can make 2. It's got to be plus 2, and one of them's got to be negative because it's minus 15. Okay, minus 15 means one has to be one sign, one has to be the other. We need plus 2, so it's going to have to be 5, take away 3. So we know that the 3's got to be the minus, and then that means we've got x minus 3 in one bracket and x plus 5 in the other. Okay, so we've now got the next video that you're going on to, which is a different form of polynomial factorization. If you have any questions about these, just leave a comment and ask a question. Subscribe, please, if you've got if you like these and they're helping you out. I will have the whole course up by the end of the year. Thank you for watching.